Your Money and Your Life is proudly brought to you by Get Credit Score, Superhero and CoinSpot.
Coming up on Your Money and Your Life, cryptocurrencies. We dispel the myths and the misconceptions. How to choose the right financial planner for you. Money and matrimony. How to mend the purse strings when the heartstrings are broken. And top stock picks from Australia's leading experts. Welcome to Your Money and Your Life, the show that helps everyday Aussies to save, invest and enjoy their money. Cryptocurrencies are the hottest investment around at the moment, frankly a bit too hot for me, because I'm not sure whether it's the greatest investment of a generation or the greatest financial scam of a generation. But plenty of people are making lots of money, and the likes of Tesla's Elon Musk and financial giants like PayPal and Visa are big supporters. Here to dispel some of those misconceptions and myths and help me understand it a bit better, CoinSpot's Ray Brown. Ray, how are you, mate? Thank you for joining us. The first myth, it's hard to invest in cryptocurrencies, is it?
That's a good one. It's definitely one that I've come across, quite a few times in my years working in the industry. And I would say, there is definitely some truth to it years ago, when it first kind of came into its inception. Whereas, in today's age and for the last few years, it's become very, very, very simple to get involved. You have big companies, such as CoinSpot that's, fully regulated, has over 1 million Australians using it, and they've made it extremely simple to get involved.
You often hear people say cryptocurrency is used by criminals.
I mean, just as you would say with cash, anything can be used by criminals. They're always going to try to find their way to weave in and out and use things for the wrong purposes, But CoinSpot, I guess, the trading platform itself, we actually have to abide by the rules and regulations, that banks do, such as anti-money laundering and know your customer. And at the end of the day, these are all things put in place to make sure that we're making it a really safe space for Aussies to invest.
Is it too expensive? You hear Bitcoin at $50,000, $70,000. That's a lot of money.
Unlike stocks, you don't generally have to buy a whole unit. So even if Bitcoin was, let's say, $100,000, for example, you don't have to spend $100,000. You could buy $1, 1 cent worth of it and get involved.
Oh, OK, so you can buy portions of cryptocurrencies and the particular units.
Exactly right.
OK, another misconception is that it's not safe. Is that true?
This one, I definitely wouldn't say so. I mean, as I touched on earlier, when you're using, regulated exchanges, Australian regulated exchanges especially, it's definitely safe because we're abiding by the exact same rules and regulations that banks and other financial providers are.
OK. Is it too risky?
Like any investment, there's definitely risk, and I would be lying to say, don't do your research and stuff like that. Obviously, that's the key to anything with investment. Do your research, do your homework, make sure it's what you want to invest in and it's right for your risk appetite. And once it ticks all the boxes, then have fun learning. OK. So it's not for everyone. You've got to make sure it suits you. Like anything, I mean, there's obviously some people that are going to have fun with it and some people that it might not be particularly for. But on CoinSpot, as I touched on, we have over 1 million users and they range from people, as young as teenagers all the way to people over the age of 100. So I would say definitely, anyone could get involved and, yeah, do your research for sure. All right, Ray, thanks for joining us.
No worries. Good to see you. After the break, sound advice, how to choose a financial planner that plans and works for you. But first, here's another look at your credit score. If you've ever been late paying a bill or defaulted on a loan repayment, chances are this could have impacted your credit score. Having a blemish on your credit record may not seem like a big deal until you find yourself applying for a new form of credit, like a car loan, home loan, or even a mobile phone, and you're not back. You see, most credit providers will run a credit check on you when they receive your application, which helps them determine if you're a good credit risk or not. Remember, if you've been credit active in the past, you will already have a credit report. Your report includes information like whether you've been too long to pay back a debt, your current overdue accounts, and other relevant personal details. If you miss payments, pay your bills too late, or make a lot of credit applications, these behaviours can lower your credit score. If you don't know the details of your credit rating, it's worth taking the time to find that out. It's easy to do, and it's free at providers like getcreditscore.com.au.
I'm Sally Tyndall from Rate City with some information on costs involved in buying a property. It is never cheap. Not only do you have to scale Everest to get your deposit together, but there's an arsenal of fees at the finish line. The biggest cost is stamp duty, which is around 4%. The second one is lender's mortgage insurance, which can run into the tens of thousands of dollars unless you have a 20% deposit or someone who will act as a guarantor. There's also building and pest reports at around $300 to $500 a pop, conveyancing fees of around $1,000 to $2,000, home and contents insurance, even bank application fees. Although if you're game, ask for them to be waived, your bank might just say yes. But one of the biggest mistakes you can make is not leaving anything in reserve. Roofs leak, hot water systems can blow, so just make sure you have enough to ride out a few rainy days.
As I always say, your best investment is always getting good advice. A financial planner can be your biggest asset if you find the right one for you. They become your partner in helping guide you through the big financial decisions, reach your goals and build wealth. Now, with just over 20,000 financial advisors in the country, finding the right one with the combination of trustworthiness and expertise isn't easy. To help us on our way is James Panaritos from Advisor Ratings. James, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Look, when do you know that you need a financial advisor?
When it comes to the need for a financial planner itself, someone that can guide you through that process, generally there are milestones that we all go through. The birth of our children might trigger us for some estate planning, for example. Taking on a mortgage might require us to think about debt reduction strategies. A retirement strategy, a planning for retirement strategy. So generally the need for a financial planner comes in when people have reached a particular milestone.
How do you find the right one?
There are websites like our own website, Advisor Ratings. We keep a track of all 20,000. We try and match consumers with the right advisor based on things like where they live, postcodes, the type of advice that they need. But a combination of word of mouth and just doing searches on Google, etc., will help you identify where the right advisors are.
All right, so you found an advisor, that first meeting with them. How do you know whether they're going to be the right fit for you?
So, generally speaking, if they're asking a lot of questions about you and speaking less about themselves, that's always a good start.
You hear stories, like in every industry, of people being ripped off by supposed advisors. How do you check whether they're legitimate? Are there credentials that you should be focusing in on?
Certainly the ASIC Financial Advice Register will tell you things like how long that particular planner has been practicing, whether they've ever been banned. The industry has been under the spotlight. So even though you can never say never, the chances of an advisor ripping you off these days, I think, is a lot lower than what it possibly could have been in the past.
How much do they cost?
It really varies. I think entry level, you're looking at around the $1,600 mark, up to a few $1,000s, depending on the depth of the advice that is required and how regular that advisor will be servicing you.
Okay, is it fee-based generally?
The model is becoming more and more fee-based, yeah, so fee for service or a salaried advisor model. So you sort of pay for what you get. The days of the commissions and the trailing commissions are certainly very much behind us.
All right, so in that first meeting to choose your advisor, what should you be asking them about?
I would be asking them things like, what do they specialise in, the level of experience, the years of experience they've had in that particular field, have they ever been banned, which licensees they've worked for, and a little bit about the type of clients that they're used to working with.
Do you ask for referrals? from their clients, knowing they'll only ever give you good ones, but is it worth asking?
Absolutely. I think that we've become a society where we do rely on crowdsourcing opinions, and the advisor fraternity is no different. You should absolutely ask them for referrals, knowing that they probably will recommend good, happy clients of theirs, but it's always worth it. Plus, a lot of the public websites, including the advisor rating site that we manage, do contain information about advisors that have been provided by their customers. So it's a little bit more of an independent source.
Okay. James, great advice there. Thank you.
My absolute pleasure.
Up next, money and matrimony, how to protect your finances when a relationship falls apart.
Deciding when to sell shares has always been one of the hardest questions faced by investors. There are normally two reasons for selling. Either things are going very well, share price has gone up a lot, or something has gone wrong and share price has gone down a lot. So when things are going well, share price is up, investors really should resist the urge to sell too soon. It's important for investors to monitor the underlying business performance, and as long as they are going well, ride the boom. When things go wrong, it makes a much harder decision to sell shares when prices are down. The key here is to very quickly work out what went wrong with the company. If there is something fundamentally wrong with the business and it's not likely to be corrected quickly, then it's a clear sign for investors to cut losses. A good sanity check here is to ask yourself, if you didn't hold any shares today, would you be buying them? If the answer is no, then you definitely should sell your shares in the company. So remember, don't sell your winners too early and don't hold on to the losers.
Welcome back. You're watching Your Money and Your Life, the show that's all about saving, investing and enjoying your money. As they say, love is a many splendid thing, but when that love turns sour, the financial consequences can be devastating if you're not prepared. I'm not just talking about marriage here. The consequences are the same for a de facto relationship. I know it's not very romantic, but your future financial security may depend on making sure you have the right financial safety net in place. Here's your Money and Your Life reporter, Marianne Harris, with advice to help you repair the purse strings when the heartstrings are broken.
You fall in love and couple up. All is well until it isn't. Current statistics show 1 in 3 marriages end in divorce, a topic upsetting enough without the threat of financial difficulty to follow. But what a lot of people don't realise is without a legal binding agreement in place, living with a loved one means you end up sharing more than just a bed.
So all of the assets that you had at the beginning become assets that are shared with your partner, not just during the relationship, but if in the event the relationship ends. Everything goes into a shared pool, and then what is determined is how much you get of that pool.
Separating from a partner can be devastating emotionally and financially, and the rebuilding of your personal wealth is something that often takes years, so it's important that it starts almost the moment one walks out the door.
There are steps you can take to regain control. The first is to try and agree on practical matters and keep the emotion out of the negotiation when it comes time to divide property and assets. Others include protect what you've got. Keep documentation of any joint assets in a safety deposit box. Get smart about your bank account. Change passwords or apply to the bank to be joint signatories. This means you'll be able to keep an eye on any withdrawals. Get independent legal if not financial advice. Get valuations on all assets. This is important as the most contested asset is usually the family home. And review legal obligations. Remove any powers of attorney you've given your ex on assets in your name and update your will.
When you separate from your partner, you want to put in the work and stay on the front foot to ensure things go as smoothly and as quickly as possible. That will help you to make sure that it ends up being a separation of your personal wealth and not a destruction of your personal wealth.
It can take years to recover financially after a divorce, and it's usually women who come out second best.
Studies show that divorced women are less likely to be homeowners and that divorced women over the age of 50 are increasingly finding themselves homeless. So it does pay to be financially savvy.
And so the financial arrangement where one person was managing everything and you were comfortable in that thought, that doesn't always last. And that's where people usually come undone at the end, because they've left one party to control everything. And then when they come for a property settlement, they don't know much about what has happened in the last 20 years or the last 10 years. And they don't know what is there. And sometimes it comes as a huge shock to them because they thought they were way more comfortable in a much better financial position than they actually are.
If you can map out what your settlement is going to look like, you're going to avoid expensive and costly engagement with lawyers. If you can't work it out between yourselves, a judge listens to evidence and decides what is just and equitable based on the unique facts of your case. These days, though, the reality is that some courts are taking up to 3 or 4 years to finalise property matters.
Because it's a no-fault system, it's really about dollars and cents. It's not about getting any compensation for hurt feelings or pain and suffering. The smooth process happens when you've got two like-minded people who are motivated to be fair and to take a commercial approach to a family law property settlement.
After the break, buy, hold, sell, 2 stocks tossed around with the experts, and then their call on what to trade. Welcome back. You're watching Your Money and Your Life. Let's get straight into my favourite part of the show. Joining me now for today's expert panel is Superhero Trading App founder John Winters and Managing Director of Strawman Andrew Page. How are you guys?
Good.
All right, a couple of really interesting stocks today. First one, Andrew, you want to have a look at Catapult, which is fascinating for anyone interested in sport.
I think if you're interested in sport, it's one to take a closer look at. Some of the biggest sporting teams in the world use their technology. It's all about helping coaches and trainers improve the outcomes for their athletes. Probably the best way to think about it is a Fitbit on steroids. And they've been around for a while. They've been growing the top line very, very strongly, and they've still got a long way to go.
Because all of the top sporting teams in the world use it. They're the trackers you see players put in the back of their Guernsey, and it feeds into iPads and PCs, so high-performance coaches know when players burn out or whether they're trying enough or whatever. Why do you like it?
So I like it because I think they've got a big market opportunity. They are genuine global leaders in their chosen niche, and they've just hit free cash flow positive.
John, what do you think of Catapult?
Yeah, I think it's a great one that is well embedded into the major sporting codes around the world. I think they've got every AFL team, the European soccer leagues. The thing about the actual stock, though, that I would caution people on is it's very thinly traded. There's not a huge amount of volume going through the market. So it's difficult to get into. It can be difficult to get out of.
Okay, so how do you get around that?
Some companies do have lower trading volumes, but as they do hit profitability, they do start to pick up more attention from brokers and investment banks, and that will increase. And it's often when that happens that you see a big increase in the share price as well.
Okay, all right. Our next stock, though, something that everybody has been binging out on during COVID and lockdowns, Domino's Pizza. John, does it feature heavily on the Superhero platform?
It doesn't, but who doesn't love pizza?
Yep, exactly.
They are the biggest Domino's franchise outside the US. So they've got a number of regions. It's not just Australia, it's New Zealand and some European countries as well.
And Japan is being a big market for them now, isn't it?
So especially during lockdown, there's been a huge increase in demand for delivered food. And they've been right at the forefront of that.
Yeah, Andrew, does it figure on the Strawman polls very highly?
Yeah, it does. Okay, it's one of those things when we talk about the best performing stocks over the last decade, it's usually the tech stocks that get all the mention. These guys make pizza. Their shares are up 18-fold in 10 years. That doesn't include dividends. In fact, if you bought 10 years ago, your initial purchase price has been entirely paid back in dividends alone. So it's been a phenomenal performer. I agree. I think they've got a long way to run.
How should you look at it, though? As a pizza business or a tech business?
Yeah, I'd look at it as a tech company. They do deliver pizza at the end of the day, but there's a lot that goes into their tech, and that's what you're seeing in the valuation as well. This has got over $9 billion market cap. They make pizza. So it's a pretty fascinating one.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it's all about getting your food to you as quickly as possible in the best kind of condition, at the highest quality, and they have just nailed that. They've destroyed Pizza Hut in Australia, and anyone who's used the Domino's app will know. I mean, you can actually see your pizza before it's delivered. You can track, and it just comes to your door really quick.
But another stock associated with it, Dragon Tail,
yes,
they actually do the tech. They
do part of the tech.
Yeah, and they're a separately listed company that has done well.
Yeah, we'll talk about Thinly Traded. This is a much smaller company. But yeah, they take pictures of your pizza for quality control purposes, but they also manage all of the operations of the restaurant itself. So it makes sure that the delivery is lined up, the pizza queue is in the right order. It's fascinating stuff. Much earlier stage company, but I think it's one to watch.
Okay, all right. Andrew, good to see you. John, always great to catch up as usual. Well, that's all we have time for this week, but for more money tips and expert advice, be sure to head to the Your Money and Your Life website. And if it's share advice you're looking for, you can also join me every weekday for The Call, live at midday Eastern on AusBiz or live on 7plus. 10 stocks, advice from 2 experts, all in 60 minutes. Next week on Your Money and Your Life, how to apply for a loan and get it approved. Sound advice on protecting your assets and tips on how to set up and fund your side hustle.